they can afford to argue.
Come on, honey, keep breaking my heart.
So John Cale is a musician from Wales, but he kind of moved around quite a bit. Is not to be confused with John Cage, who was the composer who created 4 minutes 33 seconds, which was the completely silent piece. John Cale had a foot in two different worlds, so he has been involved in kind of modern classical stuff, but also avant-garde rock side of things. In the 60s, he moved to New York and became part of the Velvet Underground, a band that you might have heard of. He was a protege of Andy Warhol's. He was kicked out of the Velvet Underground for being too weird. And if you've heard any of the Velvet Underground stuff, you might think that's a bit the pot calling the kettle black. But actually, he was the main source of weirdness. And when he left, they became more mainstream. So he went solo. He's done lots and lots of stuff since then. He's done a few solo albums. When I say a few, so around 20 or so. Loads of soundtrack albums and some collaboration stuff. He's worked in all sorts of different areas. And he has collaborated with people as diverse as Lou Reed, Terry Riley, Susie Sue, and Brian Eno.
Hi, my name's Dan. This is a review of the album Fear by John Cale. It was his fourth studio album. It was released in 1974, and it's my first encounter with this album. It's not my first encounter with John Cale. This is yet another album where genre holding is not straightforward. I will briefly think about this, but not for very long. Wikipedia claims it's rock. Acclaimed Music say it's art rock. I guess art rock maybe works. I don't think it feels kind of like art rock's in that direction and this is in that direction, maybe. But maybe I'm misunderstanding art rock. This music is definitely not straightforward, but it's also not as way out as I expected it to be, given that it's John Cale. Okay. So it's kind of rock. It's even pop rock at times. And then there's the occasional thing like discordant violin or viola, it might be on Barracuda, noise guitar on Fear is a Man's Best Friend, fake waves on the beach sound in Emily, which is an interesting sound. I'm fairly sure it's not a real recording of Waves on the Beach, but it's somehow been synthesized. Emily, as well as some other tracks, also uses strong backing vocals in Emily. It's a pity. It's kind of an unusual way, certainly an unusual way at the time. And the whole kind of stretch ranges from fairly rocky to quite pastoral. I think by which I mean sort of fairly mellow. Gun, the track has an unusual guitar solo. So the guitar's played by Phil Manzanera, who was with Roxy Music, and it was routed through a synth, which was, as Phil played, Brian Eno, who was also Roxy Music, was messing with the synth controls to change the sound of the guitar as it's being played. And I want to say, oh, look, it's Brian Eno again. The number of times I've come across Brian Eno on this list, if I'd known it was going to be this many, I'd have started counting them because he just pops up all over the place. So we'll talk about those. Phil Manzanera and Brian Eno from Roxy Music. We've also got Richard Thompson, who I've heard of, involved here. And a surprising name for me, Bryn Howarth. So I know his name from the world of Christian contemporary music. And I had to go and check. Is this the same Bryn Howarth? Yes, it is. We've got some guest vocals too on Pity the Man Who Couldn't Afford to Orgy. Right, I'll come back to that in a second. I think these the spoken female vocals here are somebody called Judy Nyland, and they're nicely done. Right, I want to talk about that title very briefly because in the song it's pronounced as Pity the Man Who Couldn't Afford to Orgy. But it's written as the word that I assume is normally pronounced orgy. And I don't know if they mean something different, but I assume that they meaning orgy, and that they've changed the pronunciation slightly to get it around censorship, possibly. John Cale's vocals are sometimes quite gentle, almost folk feeling. Some songs he's got more of a kind of Nick Cave feel, or even a Leonard Cohen feel, kind of laconic, just not as low in the frequency register. The lyrics, so I think this is possibly where I expected it to be more off the mainstream. They're not that biting, but some of them do have a darker undercurrent, but by no means all. And how did I feel about it? Well, I quite enjoyed it. It feels patchy. I think it lacks coherence as an album, but there's some decent songs on it, and it passes the time quite pleasantly. So that's what I think. In a nutshell, it is a mini review. As always, I'd love to know what you think of this album, so please share with me by leaving a comment. But that's it from me for now.
Like woman underwater drowning, sing